Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Hey, yo, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. All of a sudden, I don't know anything about boxing because I said Jai Opetaia. It's a cruiserweight monster, and David Benavidez find himself getting clipped. And it could be another David Tua versus John Ruiz type fight. Because it could be. I also said David Benavidez, there's a chance he could win the fight. But when you got a guy like Jai Opetaia, who's a destroyer, proven at cruiserweight, breaking bones, jaws, necks, noses, knees, even breaking confidence. Jai Opetaia is no joke. You got to understand and respect the skill, style, background, and power. And I am going to do a video about David Benavidez and speak about him in the same way. So hold your horses and take it easy, David Benavidez fans. The solid record and knockout power by the Samoan, Australian. Boy, some of them Aussie oys were like, Jai Opetaia. He's not the Samoan, he's from Australia. It's like, easy, McNicholas. He's a goddamn Samoan. And he's Australian. Why can't I call him a Samoan? Huh? That man eating green banana and all that shit just like everybody else. Yeah, we all the same. I ain't from Samoa. My family from the Caribbean. Islanders are islanders. Get out here. I'm born in America. But you think people see me as American? Culturally, my belly is Trinidad and Tobago. Jai Opetaia, his belly is Samoa. But yeah, he's from Australia and he's proud. We know that. Don't come in here trying to poke me in the eyeball, McNicholas, before I Aussie, oi you in the eyeball. Get out of here. Opetaia, he's not a Samoan. Shit, you tell him that. We know his mother's Australian, his dad's from Samoa. Boy's a damn Samoan. Get out of here. Look at him. What do he look like? Looks Samoan to me. Just like The Rock. The Rock is up here. Dad black, mom Samoan. What the Rock look what? We know he's American, but that Samoan blood is in him. I'm half Indian, half African. People are trying to figure that shit out with me. Oh, what's he? It doesn't matter, okay? Keep it simple. But one thing we do know is Jai Opetaia is undefeated as a pro. As of late 2025, his record, 29-0, 23 knockouts. Just fought a guy, broke his neck. That's real talk. I ain't making that shit up. Broke the man's neck. He currently holds the IBF and Ring Cruiserweight World titles. And damn, Zerto Ramirez was ducking him. Didn't want to sit there, man, and try to unify because he knows Jai Opetaia will destroy him. His KO ratio is elite. Many of his fight opponents haven't just lost, they've been seriously damaged. That's why with David Benavidez, who's a bad boy, it can make for a really, really interesting fight. But you just got to look at the way this guy Opetaia has been out here destroying people. Brutal finishing ability, breaking jaws, necks, face, bones. I'm telling you, confidence. In 2025, he knocked out an opponent with a left hook so violently, it's reportedly caused severe injury, required hospitalization. The guy's been released from the hospital, but his neck was broken. My back and my neck, spinal. He did the Mike Tyson to that dude, man. But in a prior title defense, he inflicted what a doctor called the worst broken jaw ever seen on an opponent, resulting in surgery, metal plates, and a jaw reconstructed. That kind of destructive power inside the ring, not just to win fights, but permanently alter opponents, gives him a reputation as one of the most dangerous cruiserweights alive. And that's why many people feel David Benavidez is a bad boy, but he goes up there with Jai Opetaia. That's a whole different world. And again, you got a goddamn, goddamn killer whale swimming around. And David Benavidez may be, the equivalent of a great white shark, but what do killer whales do to them great whites? What do they do to them? Great whites don't survive with them killer whales out there. They destroy them. The technique, size, and modern boxer killer style. Opetaia is about 6'3", 76, 77-inch reach, making him large and rangy. A great frame from using leverage and power at cruiserweight. Look, he's bigger and stronger and longer than David Benavidez. That's a problem. He fights southpaw. That's a problem. At a stylistic edge that gives orthodox fighters awkward angles and footwork challenges. That's a problem. His style balances brute power, heavy hooks, overhands, body shots with discipline, ring IQ, and the ability to control the distance. That's a problem. That combination isn't rare. He isn't just a brawler for y'all big Nicholases out there who just think he's some wild Samoan. Nah. He's a polished knockout artist. When he gets in the ring, he brings that spirit, that passion, or that Pacific Islander heritage, and with the Aussie, oi, oi, ois, and putting the bing, bing, bings on whoever gets in the ring with him. David Benavidez is a bad boy, but I'll just be honest, right now, I can't see it any different, but I gotta take my time, do my research on David, give an analyst, break shit down and give a proper analysis on him. But the heritage, warrior ethos, and mentality of Jai Opetaia is something you got to understand. Opetaia comes from deep roots, man. All that green banana and shit, the cassava and all that shit them boys eating out there in Samoa, man. His father's Samoan, and he has family lineage in combat sports, boxing and rugby, background on both sides, man. Man was meant to be an athlete, especially a fighter. The heritage seems to inform his mentality. There's a warrior ethos, a pride in representing both his Australian and his Samoan roots. He often talks about being born and raised in this shit, meaning he's hardened, gritty, hungry for greatness. And he's not just fighting for belts, although he wants the belts. He's defending legacy culture and proving that a tough, down-under Samoan Australian kid can rise to global dominance. And he's done that. What a fighter needs to pose a real threat to Jai Opetaia, the Cruiserweight monster. By the way, that's a Mexican fish in the thumbnail. I tried to do the thumbnail with Jai Opetaia biting the fish in half, but they kept flagging it for dangerous. I'm like, goddamn, but even the thumbnails, you can't just do what you want in the thumbnail. Not with the software I have. But if you want to beat Jai Opetaia, you need an elite chin and toughness. Does David Benavidez have an elite chin and toughness? Okay, does he? Giving Opetaia's power, absorbing heavy shots, and still staying composed is table stakes. Many of his victims were seriously hurt. David Benavidez is a guy who's going to come straight forward. He may try to, slip shots and then counter. David Benavidez has fast hands, but does he have the chin and toughness to stand up to Jai Opetaia? You got to have superior movement and footwork. Evading Jai's power, especially the overhand lefts or hooks, requires slick footwork, lateral movement, and constant head movement to avoid being squared up. Does David Benavidez have superior movement and footwork to avoid the bing-bings of the Samoan Jai Opetaia? I got to tell you, David Benavidez does little subtle stuff in there, so he may have some of that, but I don't know if he's going to have enough. But we won't know until they get in the ring. And again, I'm going to break down David Benavidez too. You got to have a high-paced volume punching and ring craft. If you can't throw bombs, you might need to outwork Jai Opetaia, frustrate him, and make it a war of endurance. Force him to fight long and pay for his power early. David Benavidez can do that. He can fight at a high pace. He can throw a lot of punches, and he has ring craft. He can frustrate and make it a war of endurance. David Benavidez, he has shown the ability to do that. Can he do it against Jai? I don't know, but I do see there's a good chance of him being able to do that because that's what he does. Discipline and defense-first mentality. David Benavidez, his defense is underrated. He does have discipline, but defense-first mentality, nah, he ain't Floyd Mayweather. He ain't Shakur Stevenson. David Benavidez is a guy who has no problem getting a little reckless trading, which you cannot do with Jai Opetaia. He has a brilliant IQ for boxing, although he's not a guy who's on the outside trying to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. His guard is pretty tight. He's pretty good at counterpunching. He will use his jab. And as far as avoiding range where Jai Opetaia big punches land, David Benavidez is right there in the goddamn danger zone. So it's a very, very tough one to call as far as the discipline and defense-first mentality for David Benavidez. But that's what somebody needs to really get in there and give themselves a chance against Jai Opetaia. Does David Benavidez have that? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. Mental fortitude and hunger. You got to accept that you're going to get hit by Jai Opetaia, but don't collapse mentally. The threat of a knockout will always be there. Got to stay calm and stick to the game plan under pressure. That's crucial. David Benavidez has that. mental fortitude. He's got the hunger. You gotta give him. You gotta check that box for him. Size and physical resilience or ability to take heavier weight. Look, I don't know. Benavidez has a weird shape. He's skinny fat, tall but skinny fat. You know, he doesn't have muscles. But that doesn't mean he's not in shape. That doesn't mean that he won't whip your ass. Benavidez, this isn't a goddamn swimsuit contest. He ain't nothing but the goddamn light heavyweight version, soon to be cruiserweight version of Tyson Fury. You look at Tyson Fury, man is straight marshmallow. Mashed potato and marshmallow. Tyson Fury don't look like nothing. He just lay around drinking beer, eating chips, and passing gas all goddamn day. But Tyson Fury get in the ring. Man got stamina out of this world, can scrap. David Benavidez, another one. You know, check out the physique. It's like, nah, that ain't the guy. Get in the ring with him, he'll destroy you. He will kill your ass. So he's got something special about him. You know, I got to give him that. The one thing, though, that David Benavidez has that a fighter needs, if you want to fight Jai Opetaia, because most of these cats want to avoid him, you got to be willing to walk through the fire. You got to have that fearlessness and willingness to engage. It's essential. And David Benavidez has courage and respect for danger. So a stopper for Opetaia would likely be a hybrid, part pressure fighter, part defensive master, part iron chin slugger. And to be honest with you, that's 100% David Benavidez. Now, after that breakdown, what do you think? David Benavidez, still got a favor Jai, though. Be real. So why there is huge hype for Jai moving to heavyweight? What can happen? Look, man, Jai Opetaia is a big dude, man. Opetaia himself said he wants to move up to heavyweight once he clears business at cruiserweight, unification belts, legacy. We'll see if he'll get the opportunities. Promoters already offered him heavyweight fights, including fights against Derek Chisora. He would beat Chisora, but Chisora would fight him. He would try to get at him. But the bottom line is they see Jai Opetaia as being able to go up to heavyweight and do what Usyk did. But Usyk is different, but Opetaia is different. So you won't know until he actually, jumps that hurdle and gets over into the heavyweight division and starts to, mix it up. There's a whole lot of intrigue with Jai Opetaia. Only a small group of elite fighters in history have successfully moved from cruiserweight to heavyweight and dominating both divisions. That list includes the great Evander Holyfield, David Haye, and then, of course, Usyk, who's been doing the business. Now, David Haye made some noise, but not like Evander, and definitely not like Usyk. If Opetaia does it with his power, frame, southpaw stance, and knockout reputation, he could disrupt the heavyweight division like Usyk did, Evander did as well, especially in an area where skill, speed, and conditioning increasingly matter over just brute weight. So for fans, especially the Aussie, oys, Samoans, Pacific Islanders, this could be massive. A homegrown warrior, not just ruling cruiserweight, but challenging giants at heavyweight, carrying cultural pride into the global stage. Could be interesting, man. David Tua, when he got ready to fight Lennox Lewis, everybody was hoping David Tua could pull it off. But Lewis, too big, too long, and he just fought smart. If he would have been on the inside where David Tua was strong, David Tua would have not. Anyone David Tua would get in that ring with, except for Ika Beabuchi. Them two are just. Y'all see that fight? Tua and Beabuchi? Talking about maximum violence, the ultimate mash-up, crash-up. Go watch that shit. Going at it. But there's a catch. There's some challenges. There's some things that could go wrong. If Jai goes up to heavyweight, there'll be some heavier punches. Moving up means facing bigger, naturally heavier men, harder shots, longer reach, and more power. Even with his frame and power, there's a risk when facing seasoned heavyweights. I think Usyk's like 6'4.5". Usyk's a big boy, man. Jai's a little bit smaller than Usyk. But there's a speed and size trade-off. So to carry the weight up, many fighters lose a bit of speed, which historically has been Opetaia's advantage. If he diminishes speed but gains weight, certain matches might neutralize his strengths. This is why he's got to put on functional mass like Terrence Crawford did, like Devin Haney did, as they moved up in weight to the next divisions and still maintain their speed but also gain power. Jai Opetaia would probably have to work with somebody outside of Australia to help him put on the functional mass to make sure he maintains his speed, but has that heavyweight power. And then there's a conditioning and adaptation. Heavyweights often fight differently. They fight in spurts, slower pace, fewer but heavier shots. Opetaia will need to adapt strategy, defense, and stamina to survive in a new weight class. Then if he goes up, for sure there'll be a target on his back. As a rising heavyweight, everyone will study him. His style, his weaknesses, his build. The mistakes will cost more. He's got to make sure that he's not out there making any mistakes, because they're going to be looking to put the bing-bings on him and test that cruiserweight chin of his. So what does this mean for the Aussies? Let me say that right. What does this mean for the Aussie, oi, oi, ois, and the Samoans and global fans? Look, listen. Jai Opetaia's story, it matters. It matters. Opetaia represents heritage, cultural pride, and the underdog, the champ story. Australian-born, Samoan-rooted, raised with fighting blood, succeeding on the world stage. For many fans in Australia and the Pacific Islands, he's more than just a boxer, he's a symbol. He's part of that rare lineage, man. Cruiserweight to heavyweight. Champs like Holyfield, Usyk, David Haye. If he makes the leap, he joins an elite club. That gives fans something big to believe in, but he's got to do the business. He's got to do the business. His fights are must-see TV, given his high KO rate, destructive style, and charismatic presence. Every time he enters the ring, there's a real drama, excitement, and danger. For fans who love action, power, and unpredictability, he delivers. On time, every time. He challenges the old boxing stereotypes. In a sport where heavyweights used to be all about plotting, power, and size, Opetaia brings a mix of skill, athleticism, angles, and southpaw flair. A modern warrior archetype appealing to younger fans and those who appreciate technique plus brutality. Jai Opetaia is a guy who many believe will clear out cruiserweight if he gets the opportunities, and has all the potential in the world to go up to heavyweight and possibly clear that out as well. But first thing first, focus on cruiserweight, do the business, then go up to heavyweight and be smart and strategic about the opponent selection, and then allow things to just naturally play out. Anyway, I believe Jai Opetaia has the potential to be the next big thing, not just among cruiserweights, but as a legitimate future heavyweight threat. With his record, power, physique, and mindset, he checks many boxes that historically marked successful cruiser to heavyweight transitions. However, success will depend heavily on discipline, training adaptation, and selecting the right fights, like I just mentioned. If he rushes it or underestimates heavyweight challenges, the transition could be rocky. But if he stays sharp, hungry, and learns to carry power and speed up, he could disrupt the heavyweight division and give fans a new warrior king. Now, I tell you what, y'all take that, allow it to digest, and leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. But I'm telling you right now, Jai Opetaia is that guy. Benavidez is a great fight for him. Jai is a great fight for Benavidez. But at the end of the day, right now looking at it, I just think Jai Opetaia is going to clear out everyone and bubble himself up to heavyweight and do the business. I do think him and Benavidez is a really, really good fight. But right now, just looking at it, I mean, Benavidez can win. But damn, boy, Jai Opetaia, that's a tough meal to digest. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, all the Usos and all the Aussie, oi, oi, ois. Respect. Yo, I'm in the breeze.